Welcome to Total Football with Sports Adda. It's the final of the Euro 2020. I have with me Dhruv, the English fan from Mumbai, and I have Sid, who is our expert here and has been with us throughout the tournament. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
thank you,
Yash.
Yash.
The important question here, and it's straight up, no wasting time in this. It's coming home or it's coming to Rome. What are your thoughts, Sid? Firstly, who do you think? And you looking at this image, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
You couldn't have picked a better tagline for that, could you? And the
Fantastic.
Italians taking a dig at their English fans over there. They've been calling for it to come home from a long time, and it's their chance to take it to Rome. And if it does, it does go in England's favor, it doesn't have to come home. It's already home.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the match is already being played at Wembley. So, firstly, Dhruv, not wasting any time, do you think this is advantage England playing at their home ground, playing at Wembley? They've played only one match away from home. You think it's played a bit of an advantage, if I may say, with the home crowd and everything that's just panned out for England?
Definitely yes, because we know that the crowd's gonna be backing them. It's the first time after 50 plus years that England's been part of such a final of a major tournament.
Yeah.
So that advantage is gonna come. Italy will face the pressure from the fans. So that helps. That helps every team, and the magnitude is so large that yes, you're right. It is gonna be helpful. The advantage is there. It's gonna be very evident today.
So, Sid, the most important question here is these two managers, Roberto Mancini versus Gareth Southgate. Okay, these two managers haven't won anything at the international level of sorts. Tonight could be a night where they could be tested, and Gareth Southgate has a major point to prove. Sid, what are your thoughts on tonight's game, and which manager do you think has the ability to make sure to play the best 11 possible?
From a pure managing perspective, both are at a level and they have the credibility to be where they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't be the national team managers. But if you talk about experience, Mancini has a few more years in experience compared to Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
He has won trophies, for example, with Manchester City. He came in for their project, won them their first title ever. And he's done a brilliant job with the Italian national side as well. They're on a 32-game unbeaten streak. Till 2 games ago, they hadn't conceded a single goal in the calendar year. With all the matches played, they set multiple records with him as their manager. While if you see Gareth Southgate, he's an unconventional manager. He does things that most of us would not think of. Take this Euros for example, coming in with 4 right backs. In the first game, he had 2 traditional left backs who started Trippier as left back. So he is unconditional. You have, say, a Jadon Sancho who isn't starting. He doesn't go the conventional way or historically with the club performances. He sees and evaluates his teams and he goes with his gut feeling, and that is what has got him here till here. But if you talk about experience and a more balanced side, I think Mancini has a little bit of an edge over Gareth Southgate.
Yes, so that is the managerial perspective, or you might say a manager head-to-head battle if there was any. Okay, but if you speak of teams, you speak of England. Dhruv, you're here as an English fan. What are your thoughts on, Jack Grealish firstly, because he's been phenomenal for England. He hasn't gotten the most number of minutes under his belt, if I may say, at the international level, but he sure belongs to this arena. And when he comes, he really changes the game. So, do you think tonight could be the night where he could actually start in the playing 11, Dhruv?
I want him to start from my heart, right? But I know, like you spoke about, like Siddharth spoke about Southgate's gut. I think what's going to be consistent is he's not going to start. He's not going to start this game as well. He'll be the super sub. And you're right. He's not got those many minutes, and yet he has 2 assists to his name. So that he is going to be influential if it goes to the second half. Probably around the 65th or 70th minute is when Southgate could bring in if the score is not in England's favour.
Yeah, and that's the time where actually you start to feel fatigued. And as an Italian team, they've got the 2 veterans at the back, Chiellini and Bonucci. They could probably be the tired legs out there, and Grealish could be the fresh legs, if I may say, and he can bring that change, just like you said. But Dhruv, continuing to you, you think that Chiellini and Bonucci, they probably might be playing their last Euros ever and playing the final. You think that they'll be really more hungrier than ever to get this under their belt?
You're right. They are going to be hungrier. They have the leadership skill set. They are an awesome pair together, right? It's not just one over the other. As a pair, they're brilliant. They have the experience. They both are captain material, leadership traits. But one thing I think which is a weakness for them is probably the age factor. And we saw that against Spain, right? When Italy played Spain, it was very easy for Spain to enter the Italian defense.
Yeah.
And that is purely on pace, which is something these two great legends lack. So I'm calling them great legends. They are way hungrier. This could be their last Euros. So they really have that urge to win the Euros with Italy. But probably the age factor could disappoint them.
Interesting there. And Sid, what's your take on the midfield of the Italians, if I may say, with Verratti, Nico Barella. Barella has been phenomenal in this year's Euro. He's been fantastic. After winning the Serie A with Inter, he's come here and he's proved a point and made sure that he is not just a club level footballer, but definitely one of the most promising prospects for Italian football in the coming future. What are your thoughts, Sid, about this young man?
When we came into this tournament, I had said he'd be one of the players to watch out for,
yes,
because
absolutely.
of the tremendous engine that he has. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He has everything in him. He has the passes, he has the goals, he has the ability to break up play as well. He does drive into the box. He has those late runs, and he has got a few goals in this tournament because of that. And this is what he'll do against England as well. The English have to be wary of Barella as a goal threat. It's not only the attackers, the Insignes, the Chiesas, the Immobiles. Barella is going to be a threat because he arrives late in the box, and it is something that is unsuspecting of the defense. So he comes in, gets the defender, scores the goal. He does have a long ranger in him as well. And
yes,
while talking about Barella, he is an extremely young prospect and a good future for him in the Italian national team. But you have to understand that he is able to get that freedom because of the two veterans of sorts in his team. That is Jorginho. For one, he sits back, breaks up plays, and he has been instrumental in the Italian side. He had the chance to represent Brazil, but he's chosen the Italian national side, which is very unconventional. But he has come in, he has proved a brilliant asset for them. And it was Mancini who also convinced him to a certain extent to come into the Italian national side. And that has paid dividends for him. And Jorginho, as we all know, and we've seen in the Premier League and the Serie A when he was there, a firm favourite of Sarri, and even now with Tuchel and Mancini. And he is pivotal to this team because everything goes to him right now.
Absolutely. And he could be one of the reasons why Italy are where they are with these two midfielders. And of course, Marco Verratti, as we always talk about him, we speak of him very highly. He's a phenomenal player for PSG as well. But Dhruv, I want to come to you and ask you, why do you think this English side has what it takes to win this tournament? Because yes, England are a good team. They're good on paper. If you look at it, they've played well throughout the tournament. Yes, but what is the difference that you feel that they have in them than the Italian side in today's time?
I think the one core reason of let's answer is why this English side first is because I think they're younger, they're hungrier, they're full of energy, and even after that, what separates them is they have the leadership skill sets in like Stones and Harry Maguire are those two figures who have a presence on the pitch and have those defensive capabilities. What also helps them is the role Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice play, right? They're also solid midfielders. So like you said, Italy has Verratti and Jorginho. England have Calvin Phillips and Grealish. This is just from this English side perspective. What I want to actually talk about and try and give you an interesting insight is if you see the history of football or the way the evolution of football has happened, right? Football has always been about eras. So in 2008 and 2010, we saw Barcelona winning the Champions League, and automatically you saw Spain winning the Euros in 2008 and winning the World Cup in 2010. Right? So think about it. Euros is nothing but the extension of like the club football is Champions League when players play. Your Euros international players play. So 80% of the players who play are same, right? Now what's happened in this era, I would like to call it the English era. So if you see the Champions League last time, Chelsea and City, two English teams made it to the final. The year before last, Bayern made it, but before that, Liverpool and Spurs made it. Before that, Liverpool and Madrid made it. Madrid make it. So this entire era, I feel, is for English football as a whole. So I think that is the reason why I feel English are going to have an upper side than the Italians.
That's a fantastic point there, Dhruv, because that is something that I really didn't think of, to be honest. Because there are eras in football, just like you said, there was an era when Bayern Munich came in the finals a couple of times, and that was just close to when Germany won the World Cup. So it's kind of correlated when you speak of it that way. But Sid, do you concur with this, or do you really feel that Italy has what it takes with the likes of Insigne and Immobile out at front?
Correct. So, there is a correlation of sorts, but, the only difference that I would point out here is that when you talk about the Spanish dominance or the German dominance, okay, when you talk about Bayern Munich, majority of that team that played for Bayern Munich played for the German national team. And the same goes for Spain. Majority of the team that won the Euros or the World Cups was predominantly from Barca and Real Madrid. They were playing day in, day out. While Dhruv rightly mentioned, it is an English era from the Champions League perspective. These players don't predominantly play with each other. Now, if you see the English defense, you have John Stones and Walker
Harry
on the
Maguire.
right of defense. Okay, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw on the left. They are two opposite ends of the Manchester spectrum. One is playing for City, one is playing for United, but they're working well together. But what I mean to say is, it is not a one club team that has come, a majority of one team that has come into the English side. So while the correlation is there between winning a major European or a world tournament coinciding with the Champions League, okay, you need a majority core to come in from one of those English sides. While over here we have multiple teams that have come over the years into these finals, but the players are from multiple teams. So the cohesion might not be the same as, say, a Bayern Munich, Barca, or Real Madrid. But taking no credit away, yes, as Dhruv rightly mentioned, it's an era of sorts, and English has continued. The England team has continuously had these eras. Be the Beckham, the class of '92. The Lampard, Scholes, and Gerrard era. They've always had immense talent, but for some reason, it's never clicked. And if they want to win this Euros, they need them to click, because we talked about it before the show as well. This is going to be England's first major final at the Euros.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So a lot of pressure on them, and this generation needs to pull through and win this tournament.
Definitely. And if you look at the Italians, this is their 10th major finals. If you include the World Cups as well, the 10th finals, that is phenomenal. And they've won 4 World Cups already. You think that this experience matters as a culture in football when it comes to the history of your footballing, the start of football of your country. Italians have reached 10th tournament final today. So you think that is a bit of an advantage to them. But but on the other hand, the match is being played in England, Sid. So you think that it is still neck and neck because of all things that are happening around?
Of course, you have pros and cons. With the Italian national side, they have a lot of experience. Even their manager, he's played in finals. He has managed them at finals. Okay, he has managed clubs at finals. Vis-a-vis, if you look at Gareth Southgate, he hasn't reached a final as yet. He doesn't have that experience. The players don't know that pressure. Yes, Champions League finals are finals on their own, but the level and expectations are different. Expectations from your club is one thing, but the expectations of a nation are on a completely different level. So obviously that experience of playing in finals is going to be a very important point. But at the same time, talking about your other point, there is going to be an advantage of Wembley. As you said, the expectations of a nation versus an entire nation backing you at this stadium. Okay, majority of them are going to be English fans. They're going to rattle the Italian players. They're going to boost their English players. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the referee. Okay, there might be a few wrong calls that happen. That is what home advantage is. So that is where the English get a little bit of a boost, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yes, and Dhruv, I have an interesting question for you here. This is something that I really wanted to ask you, being an English fan and knowing so much about football. What do you have to say to the critics that that give such such stupid criticism to Jordan Pickford? What is your take on it personally, and how highly do you rate him as an English keeper?
I mean, I'll answer this in two halves. If you're talking about the criticism, right, I think what can be said at the end of the day, haters will always hate, as they say, right? We've reached the final, and therefore, other fans, there could be a tinge of jealousy, which shouldn't exist, but it's there. That's the reality.
Yeah,
so
that's
let's live with that. So nothing can be done there. But I think Pickford, it's been topsy turvy. He's been Southgate's man from even the World Cup, across different tournaments. Yes, the free kick that Denmark scored could be looked at from two perspectives. One, maybe it was a damn good free kick. Let's not take that away from Damsgaard. But I personally think that free kick could have been avoided. And I remember Siddharth also mentioning this on the last show, that we have only given credit to the defense line, but Pickford has been crucial in the clean sheets England have kept. So yes, credit does go to him also.
So you think that he is definitely the right choice made by Gareth Southgate as the number one keeper for England?
Honestly, I would have probably gone with Sam Johnston, just because of the Premier League season he's had. But I get, because probably he's from a smaller club, not out there, not experienced. And Southgate has trusted Pickford over the years, so he doesn't want to he probably won't make changes just because the tournament, the magnitude is so high, so you won't take such a big risk.
And Pickford is going to be up against Ciro Immobile tonight. Okay, last time around he was just subbed off at the 70th or the 80th minute, if I'm not wrong, against Spain. But tonight could be the night, Sid. We've been speaking of him. He's been a top scorer in the Serie A, and he's been knocking the door for Italian football for a long time now. And here he has already got a couple of goals under his belt. Do you think tonight could be the night where he could get a goal under his belt and make sure that Italy get that all-important goal which makes the difference between the two sides?
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of expectations of him because of the kind of goal scorer he is. But if you remember at the start of the tournament, I'd said as well, while he is tremendous in the Serie A, okay, he has been scoring 25 plus goals each season in and around the Golden Boot. He actually won the European Golden Boot a few seasons ago. But for the Italian team, he's not as prolific as we want him to, or from his Serie A expectations. And he did prove us wrong in the initial few matches, but he is on a bit of a goal drought. And the Italians will need those goals from him today, or at least an all-round display wherein he is able to hold up the play and open up spaces for the on runners. Maybe Insigne or Chiesa on the wings, or Barella coming in late. So he's going to be instrumental in the Italians if they are to win today.
Yes, and if you look at his nemesis tonight, it is Harry Kane, none other than Harry Kane. Okay, he is probably one of the one of the best players that has come by far in the last 6 to 8 years for England. He's the captain now, has played a semi-final of the World Cup, now reaching the final of the Euros. Finally, could he be getting a trophy? Messi won the Copa America just today earlier today. And could this be his day also? Could this be the day of the first international trophies for legends of their respective countries, Dhruv?
I mean, definitely. In fact, I think he's looking forward to it because, like you mentioned, right, what's similar between Messi and Kane, the way I see it is, Messi got the top scorer for Copa America, right? Over here, Harry Kane's with 4 goals, and the highest up till now is Cristiano Ronaldo and Smith with 5 goals, right? So, it's in his hand. Like, he has the option to not just get England victory, but it's a personal recognition also which he'll get if he's able to score 2 goals. Then the Golden Boot is his. So I'm sure he's looking forward to it, and he's proved his worth in the last few games, which is why the 4 goals. And I think he is going to get goals even today.
You spoke like a true English fan here. Such optimism I've never seen in someone. Scoring 2 goals in a final. just so that he could win the Golden Boot, just like Messi did. That's phenomenal. Now, Sid, I just want to ask you this question. Head-to-head battle. If you look at these two teams, okay, they've played some, interesting, competition between these two teams, Italians and the English sides. There's not much to choose here. Italians have just won 3 more games than the English sides. But do you think tonight could be different, and it could be really crucial? Because this is it. It doesn't matter 10 games win, 10 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, but this win will be the most important one for the English or the Italian side. Sid, what's your take on this head-to-head stat here?
Absolutely. History is out of the window right now. It's all about who turns up and plays the better football today, takes their chances. That is going to be important. Because if you see throughout this tournament, okay, the Italians have been very consistent. They have been, banging the goals, being solid in defense when needed. They get the results. But if you see the English team, okay, they were off to a rocky start. They have, Harry Kane wasn't performing, and at that time, come at the man, come at the hour. So that was Sterling at that point. Sterling had 2 crucial goals in the group stages, which got them through, and he is a player to watch out for. Because he carries the weight of a nation, and he's been doing so for several years now. Okay, and on the opposite wing, okay, he has been a dark horse of sorts. That's Bukayo Saka. If you actually go into before the Euros, people were saying that Saka shouldn't be taken to the Euros, and Dhruv might have been one of them. I don't know if he was one of those English fans, but they said he shouldn't be going through to the Euros. Some said he's coming just for the experience, but Gareth Southgate saw something in him. He's put him at the deep end, and he has gotten him the results. And a lot of us thought after the quarterfinals Sancho would start on the right wing, but he again put his trust in Saka, and Saka did come up with the goods in the semi-final. So actually, I'd like to know Dhruv's thoughts on these two wingers as well.
Yes, Dhruv, my question was going to be directed to you. What do you think of Sterling, firstly? Because he's been the goal scorer that you all were looking for all the whole Euros. You didn't have the prolific goal scorer and Harry Kane present, but here you have Sterling who's scoring the goals, and here is a kid who really shouldn't have been picked. That's what the English fan used to say earlier. They got Greenwoods and they got the players like Sancho, but Bukayo Saka. What are your thoughts on these two players?
I think, look, there's no debate about Sterling, right? He's been consistent, right? Kane started performing after the second game, but Sterling has been involved in the goals, assists, and the overall gameplay of goals from game 1, right?
Yeah.
He's been there, like Siddharth mentioned, carried the burden of the country. Like, he's been there. He is going to be instrumental. He's been instrumental. He's been consistent is the right word to use. And there's not taking anything away from him, right? Like, Southgate might still, he's revolved Mason Mount, Grealish, Sancho in that midfield. But Sterling is one player, he's not changed. And I don't think he's even going to change that in today's game. Now, talking about Saka, I think everyone would probably be amazed at why Saka is picked. But now, when you try and analyze Southgate's thinking, right, if you think in his team, he also has defensive players, which is why apart from the 4 set, like the defenders, you have Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, who also offer that defensive capabilities, right? And similarly, which is what Saka comes in with, right? Saka, we thought would it be up for the challenge in the attack form, right? But against Denmark, when we were 1-0 down, he's the one who got past and gave that assist to Sterling. I mean, which was an own goal, but he's the one who entered the D, right? So he's proven his attacking prowess. Defensively, he's that good, and which is why Southgate backs him. Like, he has that advantage which probably a Sancho may not bring to the table.
Fair enough. That's a good point out there. Saka has been trusted, and most people were surprised with this. And myself, I was surprised too when I saw Saka's name in the lineup after Sancho started in the pre-quarters or the quarterfinals. So here we come, and you have to speak of this Italian player here. Insigne, he has been phenomenal. Okay, the whole Euros he's performed really well. He's not got the goals, as many goals as much as he would have wanted, but here he is a player to watch out for. What is your take on it, Dhruv? Being an English fan, how scared are you of this man out there when he has the ball on the left wing?
You're right, it is scary because all Italians try and do is where is Insigne? Where is Insigne? Let's just pass the ball to him. And we saw that, right? We saw that against Spain as well. Yes, you're right. Like he is a man for the English defenders to worry about, even for
Absolutely.
Rice and Calvin Phillips to worry about. So he is going to be instrumental. We have to make sure the man marking. He's not. He has very few touches on the ball. But you're right. He is going to be scary. And as an England defender, especially if he's going to play on the left flank. So if I'm Walker, I am going to be little wary before the game starts.
Yes, and Sid, the last player that I want to talk about today is Luke Shaw, and the kind of transformation that he's had as a footballer itself. Playing from Southampton, now coming to United, being dropped by Jose Mourinho, being told that he's not good enough to play in a club such as Man United, and now this season is being one of the best left backs in the whole Euros and in Europe overall. He's been phenomenal. So you think that Luke Shaw is the what do you call that fairy tale story of this year?
With Luke Shaw, he has been gritty and he's had the belief in himself that even if this manager does not back me, I will fight my way. He had options to leave United, but he's stuck around. He's made his way back into the team in United and the English side as well. And full credit to him. It's his performances that have got him here. And he has delivered the goods as well, because if he wasn't, he'd have been dropped. So full credit to him. And he is going to be someone who will be against, the prolific Chiesa. Okay.
Yeah.
It's again a tradition over there. His father's played for the Italian national side. He has come up and he has delivered the goods for the Italian side. And if he wins, it will be a father-son duo who, won the tournament. So this will be a personal thing for Chiesa as well. And Luke Shaw, with his talent, will be looking to stop him today.
So finally, moving on to the most important part of this conversation here. Dhruv, firstly, I want to come to you. What's your pick for today? We know who's your pick for today, but what's your scoreline prediction for tonight? And do you really think, being there, how nervous are you? Knowing that Italy is going to be playing England, and Italy has not lost in last 33, 34 games now. And you're road to the final, England versus Italy. Firstly, what's your prediction? And secondly, tell me about the nerves that you're getting right now.
I think prediction I'm going to, because Italy's done so well in this tournament and the stats speak. They've been a well-balanced side also. They have like-to-like players. They also play a similar formation than what the English play, right? So I think, and what I've noticed in finals, right, the excitement of final is there, right? But what happens when you're a player, you're so careful on the pitch of every small error, every detail, right? And what happens in final, generally the score is generally a low scoring game. We saw that last night with probably Argentina, Brazil. And therefore, I think my prediction for this game is going to be a simple 1-0 win against Italy for the English side.
Siddharth, do you concur or do you have your own different prediction here? Because, I don't know what to make of this game. If I were an expert, I would be on a spot as well. So I'm putting you on a spot here. What's your prediction for today?
I'm going to stick with my prediction at the start of the Euros and say that the Italians are going to win this. But, there are going to be a few factors here, and I'll again come to the first show that we had. The first is the dark horse of the tournament is going to be VAR.
Yeah.
Whether it, we saw it in the last match in the semis against England. We don't know what happened. It gave, in my opinion, it shouldn't have been a penalty, but VAR concurred the other way. It's debatable. That is the beauty of VAR. But that's a separate debate. The second is going to be the top scorer of the Euros, and that's own goals.
Own goals.
Till date, there were only 9 own goals scored in the tournament in its history, and we've already surpassed that in one tournament. So
11.
11. So now, if an own goal settles this tournament, that will be the icing on the cake. Give it the trophy. Give own goals a trophy. Neither side. Okay, but in all seriousness, I think the Italians are a more well-rounded side. They have a more experienced manager, and they have come up across stern opposition along the way. That was our worry, right, after the first group stage.
Yeah.
That can they perform against the best? They have beaten the best team in the world in Belgium. They've won against the Spanish side, while the English as well have defeated the Germans, who were a formidable opponent. But a little easier if you talk about team rankings.
Yeah.
on the way. Okay, but give both teams deserve credit. They deserve to be here. But I think the Italians have an edge, and I expect it to be a very, very tough battle in midfield, but a 2-1 win to the Italians.
So something like what Dhruv says, and I quote, it's a pasta night, not a fish and chips night for you. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so lovely. Thank you for joining with me. It's going to be an exciting game. The final of the Euros. You're all eagerly waiting for it. I remember a month back, I and Sid were sitting here doing this show, and we were like, who do you think is going to come in the finals? We had the vague predictions of Portugal, Germany and France, but here we are. It's Italy versus England, and tonight's going to be a cracker of a game. Thank you, Dhruv, for joining with me. I wish you all the best. Being an English fan, from your end, I hope it comes home. But Sid, we all know that it's going to come to Rome. Sorry, Dhruv.
I think it's coming home. Before we end, I would like to add what you concurred, right? I think it's not about pizzas and pastas today. I think it's going to be about fish and chips. We spoke about Schmeichel, the father-son duo. You spoke about Chiesa. Guys, it's not Father's Day today, right? Not a Son's Day. So it's going to be England, and it's going to be
Sunday.
It is a Sunday, yes.
It's coming home.
It's going to be fantastic. I've never predicted a scoreline in this tournament, but tonight, for one, I'm going to predict my scoreline. It's going to be 1-0 to Italy and an own goal by Sterling. That's what I mean. And VAR is going to rule out a goal that has been scored by Kane. So that's how it's going to be. Complete contrasting, chain of events happening here. And, in all seriousness, I really want this to be a fantastic game. Hopefully, the more deserving team wins. We all love football, and in the end, it's much more than just the teams. It's about the game. And I'm really happy that I had you two in this show come up. Dhruv, thank you for joining with me for all the English games. And Sid, you have been fantastic. Your expertise and your predictions straight away about Italy was bang on, and here we are in the finals. So thank you, Sid, for joining with me as well. It was great to have you all. And this is Total Football with Sports Adda signing off. Thank you.